Hey everybody, I wanted to make a video guide for the condition damage build that I've been using since Sinister Gear came out. As always with condition builds, this is meant mostly for solo play, but I have had some fun using condition builds in dungeons and fractal parties, and if you, and actually more importantly the people you play with, don't care about being perfectly optimal, this is a fun build to use in groups too sometimes. The Engineer is a bit less of a drop-off than the Warrior is switching to Condi, because the good stuff you get from an Engineer, like stacking Vuln and blast finishers and stuff, you can still do with this build, so you don't give up quite as much. Anyway, on to the build. Alright guys, so for gear, we're going to start with a Giver's Pistol and a Giver's Shield. We're going to use the Superior Sigil of Strength on the pistol and Superior Sigil of Corruption on the shield. The Giver's weapons will provide us with 20% condition duration, which this build needs in order to maximize its highest potential DPS. With these weapons, and with some of the other choices we're going to make in the build, we will hit 100% condition duration to maximize our DPS. The Strength Sigil benefits us in that we are going to have a 65% might duration boost with this build, and that's going to allow us to stack an obscene amount of might over time. The Corruption Sigil is there to allow us to maximize our ultimate condition damage potential. However, if you don't like the Corruption Sigil, feel free to swap that out for Sigil of Battle. For armor, we're going to use Sinister stats with Superior Rune of the Aristocrat. Sinister stats are the best DPS source for a condition damage build, and the Superior Rune of the Aristocrat boosts the condition damage and might duration, which are both things that this build is very interested in doing. Since might boost condition damage and direct damage, this is like a double win for us. As far as trinkets go, I recommend the Sinister Ascended trinkets that you can get, best in slot. Currently, there's no back piece for Sinister. That might change in a future update. Right now, I recommend either Rampager or Celestial. If Sinister becomes available in a future update, be sure to get that instead. So that's basically it for the gear. It's pretty straightforward. You acquire the Sinister gear by doing the Living Story Season 2 stuff. Giver's stuff you can acquire from the trading post. And Aristocracy runes you get from Caudicus Manor Dungeon. And the Sinister armor you get from farming crests in the Silver Race. So that's it for the gear, and we'll move right along to the skills, which are very important. So our skills are going to be Healing Turret, Grenade Kit, Bomb Kit, and Toolkit. Healing Turret actually has fantastic synergy with this build. The 6th bonus on our rune set gives us 3 stacks of might whenever you use a healing skill. Additionally, we're going to have a trait that will also give us might when you use a healing skill. Since the turret can be activated to drop, which will give us, as you can see, 6 stacks of might, every 10 seconds we can activate our healing turret again to give us 6 more might. As you'll see when it gets down, bam, now we're up to 12, and the turret remains. So long as you don't ever have to pop your turret, every 10 seconds or so, you get to, every 15 seconds, you get to pop this Cleansing Burst and stack up more might. And you can basically just use that on cooldown, keep your might topped off. Otherwise, you can just use it to heal as normal. So even if you don't need the heal, it's worth having your turret down when you're fighting a boss. Maybe keep it off to the side, just for the might stacking capabilities that it gives you with this build. Moving on, Grenade Kit is our main source of DPS. Shrapnel Grenade being the most important. Shrapnel Grenade on cooldown is the most important thing to do in the build. The only time you should ever prioritize something else except Shrapnel Grenade is when you need to do a might stacking rotation. The only other grenade on here that you're going to want to use super often is Poison Grenade, and essentially you're going to want to use it when the boss runs out of poison. You only want to use it when the poison's just about to expire. It's kind of a DPS loss otherwise, so don't spam it. Just as soon as the boss gets down to about a second or 2 left of poison, just reapply it with the Poison Grenade so that you have maximum uptime there. For bomb kit, the main reason to take bomb kit is firebomb and concussion bomb. There's 2 times when your normal rotation when you want to switch to bomb kit. The first is when burning is about to run out on the boss. When you see that there's only about a second left of burning on the boss, swap to bomb kit, drop a firebomb, and the burning will be back on there for a very long time. While you're in bomb kit, for whatever reason, if you drop the firebomb, feel free to set a concussion bomb. The confusion from the concussion bomb is very nice, but consider it a bonus. If the boss still has plenty of burning on, don't switch to bomb kit just to drop a concussion bomb. You only really want to drop the concussion bomb when you're already there for a bomb. The second time you want to swap to bomb kit is when Big Ol' Bomb comes off cooldown, since that is one of our main blast finishers. Generally speaking, every 30 seconds when Big Ol' Bomb comes off cooldown, you'll want to do your Might Stack rotation, which consists of Big Ol' Bomb, Firebomb, detonate your healing turret, and then the shield magnetic inversion. That will give you quite a few stacks of might when you need the most. And that is the 2 instances where we use bomb kit. The toolkit exists mostly for Gear Shield, which is a long duration block, which is very, very helpful against Lupicus, but even against other bosses who will tax your dodges and make you run out of dodges with their attacks. Much like bomb kit, pry bar is really, really good. You don't want to necessarily go out of your way to use pry bar. You're not going to ever switch to toolkit just for pry bar. However, if you're already here for a block, when you're done blocking, you might as well whack the boss with pry bar. It does really good, actually, direct damage. And the 5 stacks of confusion are no joke. So the skills we have allow us to maintain tons of bleeds, permanent poison, permanent burning, and with a lot of might stacking, and quite occasionally we're going to have a non-trivial amount of confusion stacks. Regarding confusion, I do want to say certain bosses have a very fast rate of attack, and when that happens, confusion becomes a lot better. Certain bosses have like flamethrower attacks or like a machine gun attack or just any rapid fire sort of attack. If they have attacks like that, you definitely want to be using the confusion to the fullest. And in that case, it is worth dropping the concussion bomb and then swapping for pry bar and getting those 10 stacks of confusion, because each attack with that much confusion and with the amount of might you have is going to really take huge chunks of their health down. So you definitely want to keep in mind of what sort of attacks the boss has and tailor your rotation accordingly. But for the most part, we're going to want to focus on shrapnel grenade and auto attack with the grenades as our main source of bleed stacking in this build. So now that we've discussed the skills and the gear, we will move on to traits. So the trait spread for this build is 64040. I'm going to go through the trait lines and explain the synergies for the choices. In explosives, at the adept tier, we take as our major trait shrapnel. Since each grenade in the salvo counts as a separate explosion, as do each pulse of our bombs, we are going to actually proc the 15% chance quite often, even though 15% chance is a pretty low amount. The end result is that we're going to get quite a few extra bleeds, and you can see how long the bleeds last even without putting on any condition duration food. So the next trait we're going to take at the master level is Enhanced Performance. Gain might when you use a healing skill. I already talked about that a little bit earlier and how good that is for this build and what it will allow us to do. It gives us 3 stacks of might whenever you're activating a healing skill, and it does have a 10-second internal cooldown, so you can't necessarily spam it. But since we can activate our healing skills every 20 seconds, this amounts to 6 new stacks of might every 20 seconds. Our rune set, as I said, duplicates this trait to give us the same amount again. So you can pretty much permanently keep 12 stacks of might up thanks to Enhanced Performance and the Aristocracy runes. It's pretty substantial, and it will get us quite a few stacks of DPS in conjunction with the sigil of strength on our pistol, we're looking at maintaining close to 20, maybe peaking somewhere around 22, 23. And when we do our blast rotation, we should be up at 25 stacks of might quite often with this build, which in a solo setting is actually pretty freaking amazing. The Grandmaster trait is minor trait, Steel Pack Powder. You might not think in a condition damage build that the vulnerability matters, but the reason that we're using Sinister instead of Rabid is because we actually care a little bit about the direct damage. So a couple stacks of vuln here and there is actually going to make the DPS of the direct portion quite a bit better, and will overall give the build quite a big boost. And at the Grandmaster level, we're going to take Grenadier. Obviously, you get an extra grenade each salvo, which is going to amount to extra bleeds, extra vuln, extra everything. And that is really the way to go with this build. So in firearms, we get Sharpshooter as a minor adept trait. Critical hits have a chance to cause bleeding 33%. The bleeds are a very short duration, but it's just but it's got a very high chance of actually proccing 33% on critical hit. So we're going to get quite a few bleeds along the way from that. It's going to help us get close to that 25 bleed cap by ourselves. Pretty darn good. At the major trait for the adept here, we're going to take Infused Precision. You have a chance to gain swiftness on critical hits. When we're in combat, this is going to allow us to have permanent access to swiftness in combat. You're pretty much in a fight, never going to not have swiftness. So it's really, really, really well done for this build. At the major level, we're going to take Precise Sights. Like I said earlier, we're not a direct damage build, but we do have pretty decent direct damage, all things considered. So this has a chance to cause vuln on crit, 50% chance. Doesn't last super long, but it will last long enough to give us a non-trivial amount of vulnerability for our build. Moving down to Alchemy, this has a lot of synergy with us because it gives us 20% boon duration, which is going to go a long way towards adding more and more might. At the Adept tier for the major trait, we take Invigorating Speed. Whenever you gain Swiftness, you also gain Vigor. This is our combo with Infused Precision. Basically, in combat, you're going to always have Swiftness, so you're going to always have Vigor. And having permanent Vigor goes such a long way towards making those difficult boss solos definitely something that you can do. Especially since you don't have access to an energy sigil in this build. At the major level, we take Blood Injection, gain condition damage based on your vitality. This isn't a huge trait. It works out to be around 75 condition damage. But what this does is it makes up for some of the loss that we get for not going all the way to 6 in firearms. So essentially, we're getting all the condition damage bonus that we were missing in firearms almost, but we're also getting the 20% boon duration. So it's a pretty worthwhile trade-off, and it rewards us for going deep in Alchemy for the extra boon duration without losing some of that awesome condition damage that we like. So that's it, guys, for this build. It's super fun to play. If you like soloing bosses, you like having super high condition damage, and just having fun, this is a great build. And much like the meta Dungeon Engineer, this also has a very high APM rotation. As a result, it's hard to master, but someone who goes out and takes the time to do it with this build should be able to achieve amazing results. I imagine if a skilled Engie who's way, way, way better than me decided they were going to take this build and solo Loopy, they would have no problem getting the record for soloing Loopy. As one thing I did want to add, as far as food goes, you're going to want Koi Cakes for that 40% condition duration and Toxic Focusing Crystals. When we have these together, you can see our condition duration is now 100%. We are going to get a ridiculous amount of bleed duration from our Shrapnel Grenade, 24 seconds. As you can see, the poison will last all day here. The fire ticks from the firebomb go up to 4 seconds, and it pulses multiple times. The confusion you see lasts 10 seconds. from concussion bomb. It's just a ridiculous amount of condition duration, and it puts us right where we want to be. So be sure to always use that food to maximize what you're putting out there. So that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys so much for checking out this video. If anyone takes this build out for a try and you have some success with it, please report back. And if you have any other questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments. I will be happy to answer them. Thanks, and have a great day.